And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blanken. Tyler, it's Sunday. The storms are rolling in here in Marana. It's a balmy afternoon in Arizona. How are you today?
Same here, Brad. I'm doing well, my man. Less stormy, definitely an overcast, but as I peer out the window, it appears that the sun is starting to come out. So maybe we have some hope. But super balmy throughout the day. I told you before we recorded, it reminded me of my summer in Memphis. So I was getting kind of shades back to 2015 and the very warm, cloudy, humid climates. Although I do love Memphis. So our Tennessee residents who listen and watch Gimmick Infringement still love you. But there were some days where it was just a little too balmy for me. How are you doing though, my friend?
You know, I'm glad that I have looked outside and seen that all of the clouds have moved. So it is a good day here in the neighborhood.
Great Nope reference.
If you
it feels like we were just here recording, talking about Nope.
It was. I thought it was yesterday, but it was a couple of days ago, right? Like I think 2 days ago.
2 days ago, but we were definitely
technically yesterday.
Technically, because we were online together, definitely past midnight. So,
yes,
24 to 48 hours ago.
Yeah. If you haven't caught that and you have seen Nope, please check us out there. We have a conversation about it, much of which spilled over to yesterday when I went over to the in-laws for a little bit, and they had just gotten back from the movie, and they had some questions and some points.
I didn't realize they were going to see it.
Well, I didn't know either. They had talked about wanting to see it, and they went and checked it out. And it seemed like they enjoyed it a ton.
That's amazing. I think what's really cool about Peele's work is that I think often there's this stereotype that with Black creators, Black directors, etc., their work is only going to appeal to a Black audience. Only Black viewers or moviegoers are going to purchase tickets, but you shared this anecdote about your in-laws. The theater I went to, it was a really nice mix of people who were there. So
same with ours.
I know Nope is number one in the box office. I think it drew
44
million according to the article I read from Variety.
Yep,
so
that's what I saw.
Yeah, man. I'm already like you. I think I'm already plotting when my second trip to Harkins is going to be to see this. Like, should I go next weekend? Should I give it a two-week buffer? But yeah, man, I'm still thinking about it, and I have a feeling that there's going to be more. We're going to have more conversations about Nope and potentially Peele's other work at some point in the future.
Yeah, it feels like that's a thing that might happen. Tyler, I have a question for you later on in the show about Jordan Peele. So hang on to that. This week is we were talking before we started, is a huge week for GI. There are a couple of articles up on the site. Tyler's Second Rose report is up. I wrote a piece about Vince McMahon and George Lucas.
So good.
We did a Vince McMahon reaction show and also talked about Nope. We are here today bringing you the regularly scheduled podcast, and later this week we will have a SummerSlam preview for you all. Absolutely loaded. So I'm ready to get into it, Tyler. Hit me with your question one.
Yeah, bro. Let's do it. So I was so tempted to start with ROH. The storylines leaving that show, particularly from the opening match, which I did not foresee. And I want to talk about our absolutely putrid picks. Brad, maybe the worst picks we've had since the inception of GI. I know we'll get there, I hope, for your question. No pressure, though. I'm not trying to sway you. But rather than go there, because I have a feeling you may want to touch on that for yours, I think we need to start... Perfect. I think we need to start with the very Shark Week inspired edition of Fyter Fest Week 2 that we saw on Dynamite this past Wednesday. Very tempted to ask you about the women's tag team match involving the Baddies and Athena and Willow Nightingale, right? I really want to ask you about that because I actually quite enjoyed that match.
Yeah, it was a good match.
It was a good match and some potential storylines coming out of it.
Yeah.
Who is Jade's opponent? Is it Athena? Is it Chris? Do we get maybe a triple threat it all out? I'm excited. Women's wrestling, yes. However, Brad, my question for you is about the main event. What was that? Eddie Kingston loses to the Painmaker Chris Jericho. Absolute 1998 WCW overbooking. We had an Anna Jay heel turn. But then Eddie Kingston leaves the match having lost the battle but won the war. Question. Brad, my question for you, longest intro ever. What was that main event? What was that shark cage match? Barbed wire everywhere shark cage match.
It was dog shit is what it was. It was one of the most offensive things I've ever seen. And here's the part that's going to get lost in this. I thought Eddie and Chris, up until the general fuckery of Sammy Guevara and everybody getting out, I thought it was all really good. I was entertained. I enjoyed it. The Painmaker gimmick is so unbelievably stupid. I don't want to see a like late middle-aged man who is a couple of years away from getting his ARP card, wearing face paint and growling at the camera. You're not Sting. You're Chris Jericho. You don't need that dumb thing. Like, stop it. Your little Fez hat, whatever the hell that is, a way too small fedora. It just looks ridiculous. I hate it. It's not Japan. Please stop it. Never do that again. Hopefully somebody will stop him from doing it. As soon as he said the Painmaker like a week ago, did you hear the crowd? There's like,
no.
And there was like one person. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. The only time we cared at all was, oh, cool, he's bringing it back. And then he did it, and it was like, this is bad. Never do this again. And then he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to do it again because there's barbed wire. And it's just be Chris Jericho. Like, if anything, come out as the Lion Tamer or come out as like ECW Chris. Mm-hmm. ECW Chris is better. It's ECW. It's not the Painmaker.
To me, it's interesting that it seems to have sort of, you may think this is sacrilegious, but I'll say it. It seems to have Finn Balor demon vibes or demon energy, in that when Chris knows he needs to channel the Painmaker, he's quote unquote unstoppable. And he doesn't have as many wins in AEW as Demon Finn Balor did in NXT/WWE, but he definitely beat Nick Gage as the Painmaker, yes. Right? He beat Eddie Kingston, which I did not see coming. This was a terrible week for me predicting outcomes, Brad. I thought it was a no-brainer that Eddie goes over. Predictably, he was super over with the crowd in Atlanta, and I see some parallels between Finn Balor and how they used to utilize his demon gimmick with what we're getting from Painmaker Jericho. When he turns into it, he's probably going to win the match, if at least Gage and Kingston bouts show anything.
It's a good comparison in that we think that's going to happen, unless there's an inexplicable belt or rope exploding at some point, which
never got an explanation.
No.
Finn Balor never requested, or dare I say demanded, a rematch.
Just left after seeing some of the stuff about Vince come out recently. My guess is he forgot he did it. Like, it happened and then he just forgot. Which, whatever. I'm not here to like judge somebody's mental health. He's been doing it for 50 years. Clearly made bad decisions. That's why he's retiring. But the rest of the match, this is the part that I hated. Number one, Ty Conti. Why wasn't she in the shark cage? That's number one. Number two, Anna Jay's heel turn didn't need to happen there. That was stupid. Number three, if the shark cage was escapable, why did they go in it in the first place? Why didn't they just dip out right away? They were suspended in the air going, oh, we can't get out. We can't get out. Okay. You're like 9 feet up. If you slip out the rope and just drop to the floor by hanging, you're fine. It was a poorly executed idea. All I could think about was Paul Heyman trying to unlock Roman Reigns handcuffs in the KO match in the Thunderdome and not being able to unlock him. That's all I could think about while Ty was fumbling around with the key, not being able to unlock it. It's like, that can't happen. That simply cannot happen. Gimmick a lock. Do something with the lock where it's there and it looks locked. Nobody's going to know. Who cares? Then you'll never have a lock. It was just like the shark cage, the run-ins, the backup run-ins, taking out Ruby again. Suddenly it's a heel turn. Is she part of the faction? The Dark Order. It's always going to be us. We'll never split up. Oh, we're splitting up.
Yeah.
Dark Order forever.
That was 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yes. All of it is so apocalyptically stupid. I was so out on AEW this week. I've been down on it for about a month. Ever since Danielson and ever since Punk got hurt, the show's been a shit show. It's just been like, it's ROH time all the time. My Rampage main event was Jay Lethal and Christopher Daniels in their 40s. I don't need that. I don't want to see that. That whole Rampage card sucked. There's other people I want to see out there. Why isn't Wardlow wrestling? He had a promo, and it was a great promo, but have him yeet dudes around, defend the title. He wasn't wrestling this weekend, so put him on our screens.
Yeah.
Dude, it was just so bad. All of it was bad. It was like, I think TK may have been so preoccupied with the pay-per-view card that this week was sort of hodgepodged. And I know it was Time Warner execs pressuring them to do a shark related thing. Happy Shark Week, everybody. Because it's Shark Week and they are Discovery now. But my God, man, like, it's just, all of it was such a mess. And then in it, like you said, you have like these great moments. Athena and Jade in the ring beating the piss out of each other was awesome.
And the reaction from the crowd when they had that face off. And when they did the double, I always try not to interrupt you, but I got really excited when you mentioned them, because that was going to be my question number one. Do you remember that
Willow?
Well, actually, great Willow double
on the floor. Yeah.
And anything Willow, I'm going to love. But I really popped for, even before the Athena and Jade face off. Do you remember the moment that preceded that? They did the kip ups.
Yes.
Jade had hers and then Athena had hers. And then the face, and the crowd reaction. That's what makes me think, Brad, that maybe the move isn't just Chris versus Jade all out, period. Maybe we slot Athena in there and it becomes a triple threat. And maybe then Jade doesn't have to get pinned and drops the belt in September.
I wouldn't hate that. And I don't know who you turn heel in there, because one of them's going to end up turning. Like, you're going to have to bring the boo birds out for one of them when one of them has to kill the other. Feels like Statlander would be the choice there. But
yeah. Well, and then my question is, are we getting women's tag belts in AEW soon?
Because there's been a lot of tags.
You have Thunderstorm. I know we're kind of branching off somewhere else now, so I'll stop here. But Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa, unless there's a swerve, they seem to be in it for the long haul as a duo together. And then obviously Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, I don't think we're going to split up imminently. So that I wonder if that's coming up soon.
That was a great way to get other talent on there, but like Anna Jay and Ty Conti are right there. They just reteamed together. We know they're on the show, and I know it's because they were on Dynamite, and it's a long taping. And putting them in another thing right away was probably not in the cards. But that, whenever they put matches on like that, it's like, why do I need to see this? You know who's going to win? Mm-hmm. Sky Blue's not walking away with this with the dub, even though we love Sky Blue.
We love Sky Blue, yeah.
Who's their partner? I can't remember.
Oh man,
and that's what I'm saying right there. So, like, why are we doing?
Point taken. Yeah.
Why are we doing that? Like,
well, and I think the same thing with the opener of Hangman and Johnny Hungy defeating Butcher and the Blade. Butcher and the Blade are not winning that match.
No, but they should. They're a tag team, and the other two aren't. They're just tagging. Mm-hmm. So,
and they've had friction, right? Yeah. Hangman forgot about them, and I wonder what the long term. I'm going to stop after this one because I know I'm covering a lot. I wonder what the long term plan is for Hangman. Like, who's his opponent at All Out? Where does he go next?
I have no idea. I guess Sorry, I'm getting tool texts from my wife when she knows I'm recording. Listen, small town USA. I can't be making decisions from Goodwill Tools at 4:01.
The promo of the week has arrived early.
I might have to
we
change it up.
We didn't even set the video or the music or anything. But no. Going back as you respond to Jess. Hi Jess. Hi Carmen. Shout out Small Town USA. Going back to my original question though, because again, like you said, down on AEW for the week and maybe month, but a newsworthy week nonetheless.
Yes.
Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho. I mean, this feud. What was really perplexing to me, not just the ending of the show closing with Eddie throwing Jericho on the barbed wire ramp surface thing, and then
it's a way to protect Eddie that just doesn't hit.
Right, just have Eddie win the match. But what was perplexing to me is that I thought this was going to be the end of the feud. Maybe that was kind of silly of me to believe, but the way the way this show closed, the way this match ended with BCC coming out and there being gang wars, it would appear that we're running this back, which I don't know is needed. Granted, JAS won at Double or Nothing, BCC won at Blood and Guts, so technically it's 1-1. I don't have much of a desire to see them run it back again.
No, that's all I'm going to add there. I'm tired of it. They're turning into the WWE. That's best thing I can say there is the bad stuff with WWE running back matches after matches after matches after matches. It feels like what they're doing here, and they can go like, well, it's like the classic things where you have a series and they fight each other all these times. It's like, yeah, but that was good. This is not. Like, know when to count your losses. When it's 800 people against 800 people, it's not good. It's old, it's stale. It needs to go. There's other factions they could fight. Like Blackpool Combat Club should be doing a program with Andrade. Like Andrade Rouge Private Party. That should be the next thing. If you're going to do something like that. It's exactly freaking right.
Andrade versus Mox, please sign me up for that.
And then have that go for a while before building and culminating in House of Black. It has to be those two factions, right? Like those are the two, the end period. And then at some point you get in a female star to wrestle Julia. And that's when I would love to see Jamie split that off. Jamie in that match was amazeballs. Like that like forearm shiver or clothesline from the back of the head. Jesus, that was awesome. Why is she still with Britt? Also, Rebel still exists in this show. She got more airtime on Rampage than Toni Storm did, than Thunder Rosa did, than Ruby Soho did, than Ty Conti did, than Anna Jay did, than the Bunny, Penelope Ford, and like a million other women that are on the roster. Where's Sheeta? Where's Riho? Like, this is what we get. I'm sure she's great. I don't remember her name. And she was in that match with the former women's champ. The hell we doing? Okay, I'm sorry.
Points were made. I wanted to lay out there. Points were made. Well said, my friend.
So you asked me an AEW question first, so I'm going to switch my order a little bit. And I'll start with my AEW question, and I think you know where this is going to head. We can't talk about anything if we can't talk about Jonathan Gresham. Fightful reported that he has requested his release after a heated conversation with TK an hour before Death Before Dishonor. He was unhappy with creative, but he also seemed to have his mind made up when he went into the conversation. Tony seems to be running the shop like a small promotion. Does he need to create a business hierarchy in order to better serve his employees? Because that's what they are. And how does he go about creating this? So I was thinking about this, like, if I'm going to create a hierarchy, how do I know what to put in place to best serve my employees? How does he go about creating this? And should he do it at all? Or should he keep running it as it is? Wow. Right now, for people that don't know, right now there are coaches, and the coaches report to Tony, and that's kind of it. That's the system.
Yeah, phenomenal question. I think these are indicative of the growing pains of a new promotion. We constantly, in some respects, it seems like we forget, but I think you and I consistently bring up that AEW is a really new promotion, all things considered, right? 3 years in.
Not even.
Right. Year 3 or around this time, this is certainly where you would expect to see some of the flaws, and maybe the grace period or the honeymoon period is long over. So it would seem to me that there needs to be some adjustments, Brad. I think you and I always have our antennas up when a story like this is reported, and you kind of question, is this a work? Is this for storyline purposes? But I think you and I are of the mindset that through Fightful's reporting and just the general discourse or reading online, it appears to be leaning toward an absolute shoot. You and I spoke before on air, and I think this is where I'll gear my official response. The coaches that talent report to are QT Marshall, Pat Buck, Chris Daniels, and I believe that's it, right?
Yeah.
Those 3 guys.
Yep.
So you and I, so this my answer, I guess, is kind of inspired by you in that respect. Gresham brought up in an interview with Wrestle Purists that for white talent, and particularly white male talent in the company, they can have a gimmick of just being a great wrestler or being the most technical wrestler on the planet, and that's enough to make it in the company and to thrive and to be given storylines and spots of real relevance. Gresham's point was, why can't that happen with black talent in the company? Why can't that happen with me, universally recognized as one of the best technical wrestlers in the world? So my initial thought would be having some more diversity among the coaching staff. But I want to ask you, I also thought that part of TK's appeal was that he's sort of the anti Vince McMahon, and that he runs an open door policy. And he's one of those bosses that is actually like for his employees and for treating them well and for giving them a voice, not an evil overlord, such as the dude who used to run the offices in Sanford. So what I don't want to say this is a Tony Khan heel turn, but what do you think about that? Were we sold kind of a false bill of goods, and that maybe Tony isn't the absolute smash rock star babyface boss that we were promised? Or is this a case of year 3, you're bound to have disgruntled employees at some point, the company's growing and signing more talent, there are some people who are not going to be re-signed potentially? What do you think? I think diversity in the coaching staff, and I question what happened to the open door policy, what happened to hearing the ideas of your talent and recognizing when you have one of the best in the world who wants a better storyline than, okay, you're champion, Claudio beats you now that he's here, and we don't really need you anymore. Very happy for Claudio, by the way. That's why this is also so complex, is because I was emotional, Brad, seeing the tweets about Claudio winning, because I did not spend $40 on the pape. It was a little too much. But love Claudio winning, but the immediate aftermath was, oh man, no, Gresham seems like he's being forced out, and I don't love that whatsoever. I'm going to pass to you.
So one of the things that I saw, I think it was Phil Lindsay on Twitter, put out there that his run was too short. Jonathan Gresham's title reign was way too short. All of that stuff. He won the title in December. That feels like not that long ago. That's a 7-month title reign. It was over 7 months, 7 months and a couple of days. So it was not a short title reign. So I don't get when people are like, it was too short. It was 7 months. Did he defend it all the time? No. That's the only thing I could say, is that during that time, he didn't have a lot of defenses. So it felt a lot shorter, but ROH got sold. That was in March. So between December and March, it was nobody's fault there. And then he defended it on other promotions. He did some stuff with Impact and then came to ROH. But I believe he's like 34 or 35 years old. I don't know how much he wants to wrestle anymore anyway. And I don't know where he fits. Listen, this is going to sound pretty bad. He is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. I love watching him work. I've only seen a couple of matches of his, and he's great. Dude, he's short as shit. Like at some point, like people are like, well, who cares if he's short? It's like believability. Like you gotta make it believable at least, that that he's going to have a shot. I can't with any good conscience look at Claudio in the ring, who's like 6'6", next to 5'4" Jonathan Gresham, and think that he's not going to get his ass tossed. Like, it's just the way it is. At the same time, it's wrestling, and it's not hard to suspend our belief because he's that good. And watching all those clips, he worked the hell out of Claudio's legs. He pinpointed them, and he could easily go wrestle Bryan Danielson, who is not very tall.
No.
Or Zack Sabre Jr., who is not very tall. There are plenty of people that he could wrestle if they just made it fit. And all I can think is that either it's because he's black or because he's short or because of both of those things that it gets in people's heads, and it becomes unconscious bias. I think he's totally on to something there. I also don't think that if he stood next to Brock Lesnar, I'm going to go, oh yeah, this dude's going to win for sure. Because Brock would just eat him. Like, maybe literally, I don't know. He's a scary looking guy. But the part that got me was open door policy. TK has this open door policy. What happened to it? I think it's still there. But if it's an open door policy, which it sounds like it is, but it's talk to the coaches, and then the coaches meet with Tony Khan 10 times a day. If that's the policy and if that's the process, and the coaches aren't relaying that, and he was talking to Christopher Daniels, and that wasn't made clear to Tony Khan, nothing happens because of it. And Tony, to be able to spin all of those plates, seems like an insurmountable task. There simply has to be more organization there.
Right.
He's running 2 wrestling promotions now, 2. And within that's 4 separate shows plus pay-per-views. So this week he had 5 shows, 2 dark shows, his television programs, and a pay-per-view. Like, while trying to get a television deal, while running full MFC and managing the front office of the freaking Jags. Like,
I was just about to add that. Yeah. Exactly.
My God, like, of course something's going to get missed here.
Yeah. But
the fact that Gresham didn't go to Tony directly, or that Tony never went to Gresham when he bought the company, neither of those things happened. It sounds like, I don't know if it did, but it seems like Gresham said he's only ever had passing conversations with him. So, that it never became a long conversation. How are you as a boss supposed to know the frustrations of talent if you don't have structures in place in order to directly receive those and be able to have time to process them? He needs like a number 2 or a number 3 or both of those things in his hierarchy, and not working talent. It needs to be somebody that's their job. Not, I have the Bucks, I have Kenny, I had Cody at a point. We can't just have the EVPs, because that's not who's making these shows. He's the booker. So he might not be the agent for the match, but he's the booker of the match. And I think, man, I struggle so much with this because it just seems like there's not a lot of structure there. And if you don't have structure, you don't have a good flow. Because here's the other thing. Janela, lack of creative, felt like he wasn't heard. He was an indie darling and a damn good wrestler. He's gone. Big Swole, lack of creative, lack of direction, didn't feel represented. Gone. Leo Rush, kind of the same deal. Gone. So there's all these things that are happening here where talent has been released. Stu wanted to wrestle. Alan wanted to wrestle.
Seemed like Marco Stunt, the way they went about that was, I don't know that Marco Stunt
let his contract expire and didn't really say anything.
I was going to say, I know Marco Stunt maybe wasn't going to ever hold a singles title in AEW, but even the Ringside Collectibles Jurassic Express pack that they sold, it was just Jungle Boy and Luchas. Like, how do you guys just disrespect Marco like that? Yeah. You can easily make that a Marco 3-pack. I know that's a little less significant, but it's
like half the plastic.
Yes, universally recognized that they just the way Marco's contract and him leaving was handled wasn't what you would expect from, like, you would expect that from WWE, but the thought is that AEW would just treat employees or former employees with some more reverence than, we're not going to return Marco's emails, he's gone. You replace him with Christian Cage.
And I think that's the thing that WWE at least has people in there, even if they're putting stuff in trash bags. At least they have somebody to do.
Hopefully,
that,
no longer.
Right?
Hopefully, we can have some optimism. Hopefully, we can have nice things now again.
Yeah, right. I I know my answer is very long-winded, but I have a lot of thoughts and a lot.
We could go an hour just on
easily.
that.
I guess the point here is that we are like definitely more up on AEW than WWE right now. Anyway, for now, but it doesn't mean that we don't have criticisms of AEW, because I don't know. It's just felt really messy since ROH has sort of eaten AEW's time in AEW. And I'm glad that the feedback was the ROH show felt like an ROH show. That made me happy that there was a distinct difference.
Yeah.
Cool. But it was 3/4 of it was AEW talent. So I'm not really sure. What is Claudio now? What does it mean for that belt? And there's just some funky things going on where I'm not really sure what to make of all of it. It's, or again, organizationally, there needs to be somebody else. He needs to appoint somebody to run ROH for him, and he can oversee it. Something to that effect, because right now it's like one guy is trying to do 8,000 things, and you can't do 8,000 things really well. You can do like maybe 10 things really well. And that's what he needs to do. I think. I just don't know what that looks like. To answer my last part of my question about how do you go about doing that, you gotta ask the talent, what do you need, and then figure it out from there. It's pretty simple.
Exactly. And going back to what you said, I would love to ask Tony, I guess, what is his vision for AEW, for ROH, etc. long term? Because like you said, Brad, it seems like we're in a really very messy, convoluted period of ROH has been acquired by Tony Khan, which is really exciting news. But the last month of programming has definitely been seemingly half AEW, half ROH in preparation for this pay-per-view. And long term, like let's say a year from now, when we're having this conversation, I wonder if, like you said, there'll be more structure in place and the two companies will be more clearly defined in terms of, is it all just one super show, or do we have two different products that are owned by the same guy? I will say, Brad, before we leave this though, going to our picks, I'm not letting you escape this. I'm not letting myself escape this. And can I just add here, Brad, I nearly immediately regretted not getting this pay-per-view. Had no desire to spend over $40, considering you and I just bought Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
I was tempted to hit up Mo or Warren, co-founders of 19 Media, to see if we could charge it to the 19 card, maybe just invoice Jones. But I figured that wasn't going to happen. If we just look, I'm so glad this pay-per-view apparently was really great. If we just look at the card, Brad, Claudio defeats Gresham in the opener. He holds gold now. He's the ROH World Champion. Very exciting.
Or I guess silver.
Yes,
the belt isn't gold. So it's weird. Yeah, it's weird to say he has gold, but because it's not
gold, but but not really. Claudio defeats Gresham, which you and I did not predict at all. I did not see that coming, which seems ridiculous now. Very quickly, Mercedes Martinez retained her title against Serena Deeb. I think you and I got that wrong. Wheeler Yuta defeated Daniel Garcia, so he retained his pure championship. Samoa Joe defeated Jay Lethal. So I was 0 for 4, Brad, after these 4 matches on the card. And the one that I think you and I actually got right was FTR defeated the Briscoe brothers to retain their ROH World Tag titles in a 43-minute and change main event. I think also on the main card was Roosh getting a victory, Dalton Castle and the boys becoming new champs, but we didn't have those matches when we announced our prediction. So anyway, Brad, apparently the show ruled, but definitely not our most successful predictions of a pay-per-view.
And Willow won the buy-in.
Yes. Great to see. Great to see.
I have to check those out because those are probably on YouTube now.
Yeah, absolutely. 0 hour. Yep.
Yeah. So I guess, what does this mean for the next ROH pay-per-view? Are they going to build it in AEW TV again, which is probably the only way they can do it until they get a TV deal. But
I think so.
That's gross. I don't want to watch that. It's just too much stuff happening. I want fewer side characters. I don't need the boyfriend of the main character or the girlfriend of the main character that comes on for 2 episodes. I need just the main characters, please. Or at least the main roster with some sprinklings of coming up stars to get them in there. But like on a 1 hour rampage, when you see 2 top stars wrestling people from Dark, we know it's not going to be good. We know that show isn't going to be, it's not going to come away smelling like roses. And speaking of roses, Tyler, it is time for another edition of A Rose from Tyler. Take it away.
And now for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
That was so smooth. I was wondering, as I always do, how are you going to transition from your AEW question to the Bachelorette? But you did it impeccably, as always, my guy. So I have my article up here, gimmickinfringementpod.com. I wrote about the Bachelorette episode 2 winners and losers, and I want this to guide my thinking for this week's rose. So Brad, we had on episode 2 everything that you love about the Bachelorette. In the men's sort of first official competition, as it were, they had a talent show, kind of a pageant type of feel, where they had to dress in Speedos. So they had to disrobe. They're in their Speedo. Yeah, exactly. And they did like the blur out of the crotch, so you couldn't quite see the bulge, which no problem here. And then they had to perform a talent. So one dude did like this spoken word thing. Another guy was dribbling a basketball and asked his fellow contestants to clap during certain points. So it's kind of like a song. It was really just an absolute hot mess, but a hot mess that I think Bachelorette fans all over the globe enjoyed. We also saw a bit of an internal conflict with a few of our main players this season, most notably Rachel, one of the 2 Bachelorettes, the pilot from Florida. The narrative of this episode was that Gabby is really fitting into the role of Bachelorette quite seamlessly. We saw clips of her with Logan and other dudes, and they're showing interest in her. She's showing interest in them. Kisses are happening every few minutes, whereas Rachel is off to the side and she's not having as much success. For example, her first one-on-one date was with, I think the dude's name is Jordan. He's a drag racer. And so the thought was, best case scenario, already popped you. They're gonna hit it off because she's a pilot, very, unique, traveling oriented job, and he's a drag racer. Unique job, probably includes traveling. They're gonna hit it off, right? So they were on this zero gravity date, Brad. I want to pause here. Have you heard of a zero gravity date before?
No.
Okay. Neither had I.
Of course not.
Apparently, it's been a thing several seasons ago. So they, in my very informal way of describing this, they had to go on this plane. They were wearing like astronaut suits. They were on this plane, and they were just in this sort of zero gravity pit. And so as the plane ascends and flies through the air, they are now essentially astronauts on a date where they are floating in this plane, and they get to like do different moves and dances and cute stuff as a couple. So it was going well. However, the dinner happens, Brad, later on in the evening, and they're getting to know each other. Jordan shares about his parents' divorce and how that impacted him as a child and has shaped who he is today. Rachel says, I need a pause. She goes away from the dinner table. Production follows her, and she tells the production team that I'm really stuck because I'm not feeling it with this guy. He's opening up to me, but I don't see the chemistry. And if I've learned anything, it's that I don't want to lead people on. I want to nip this in the bud. I think I got to let him go. So she ends up letting him go right then and there. His suitcase was taken from the bachelor home to him at the airport. He's gone. Damn. So that was it. That was the narrative being pushed, Brad. Thank you for hanging with me. I know you love this as much as I do. Yes. So it is intriguing because Gabby seems to be fitting naturally. Former Broncos cheerleader from Colorado. She's really adopting this identity as the Bachelorette. Rachel having some early struggles, but by the end of the episode, she seems to be having more success. And there are certainly guys who are really into her, as it turns out. However, Brad, we had a signature heel developed and taken away from us in one episode, as The Bachelor and Bachelorette tends to do. There was a dude named Chris who was speaking to his fellow contestants about fantasy suites. Are you familiar with fantasy suites, Brad? Have I asked you about this?
Of course not.
I try to keep these to 5 minutes or less. Forgive me if I'm going over everyone. Fantasy suites occur near the very end, typically when there's like 2 or 3 contestants left. Instead of just having a date and then both parties go home, the Bachelor or Bachelorette tells the contestant at the end of the date, if you accept this key, we can go to the fantasy suite tonight and continue our time together to play Scrabble and, have some beverages and
sex.
And yes, and that too.
Okay.
So in summary, Chris was talking with some other guys about fantasy suites, which is like 2 months away at this point, and said basically if one of the women were to sleep with someone else here, I would not be cool with that and I would leave. So it was very much cringe, like he's trying to control what these women would do at the end. And just not something you want to say in 2022. Very borderline manipulative. So my final update for you, Brad, on this edition of A Rose with me. Chris was portrayed as the heel after that for the whole episode. End of the episode happens, and some of the guys bring this to the attention of Rachel and Gabby that Chris, this alleged manipulative MFer, said these really off the beat comments about fantasy suites, which is like, no one's thinking about that. The women didn't like it, and they end up speaking with him. He has just a very bad energy, bad vibes. They're not liking it, and he gets the boot right then and there. So he walks out. Brad, they say, no, you got to go, dude. Get the step in. Leaves. And then 2 minutes later, Chris comes back to confront the guys and say, hey, let me get you, and you. Did you guys tell Gabby and Rachel that I said these things? Did they inquire, or did you divulge that information? So it could have been total fisticuffs Jones, man. But then Gabby and Rachel heard this, or the production crew alerted them. They come back out, and then it's the whole house against this main event heel, Chris. Again, they created this dude, Brad. They created this heel in one episode, in 2 hours. I don't even remember this guy from the previous week, but he was then booted a second time and to no longer return to the house. So we had the classic internal conflict of a Bachelorette. We had a heel being developed. We had a date concept that I had never heard of nor seen before. And Brad, finally, we have some brothers that are still in contention. Chris, this heel that was created, is a brother, unfortunately, but he's gone. But we still have some potential candidates here. So I am still invested, and I cannot wait for this week's episode 3.
That was awesome. Thank you for that. I was probably more engaging than the episode, but thank you so much for that. That was
and in less time. I saved you about 2 hours, 120 minutes. I saved you about
about a half an hour. Yeah. You did not meet your 5-minute goal, but it was worth it. I think about 8
I'm not
minutes.
even writing down these times. I thought I would help you out by doing that in post-production, but that idea is now.
I got the start of it. We're all good.
Okay.
So now I'm writing down this time as we record it. Listen, I'm ready for your question to hit me.
Yeah, let's do it. WWE Focus. As you mentioned earlier, Brad, we had a special episode of GI over the weekend, a sort of breaking news edition. We spoke about Nope, but I would say the majority of that conversation was about the news of Vince McMahon stepping down and his tweet read around the world. My question for you, we don't know yet if this is going to change, or dare I say improve, the booking, the creative, the weekly product. SmackDown, to me, Brad, from what you kindly sent me, seemed like business as usual, unfortunately. So maybe it's a little too soon to be hopeful. But my question for you is, I want you to give me the names of 3 talents on the WWE roster, NXT 2.0 included, even though I know you've been out on that product for a long time. I want the names of 3 talents who you believe now have the highest upside in terms of they could be great underneath a Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, Paul Heyman maybe led company.
I don't know that I can. I don't know what their characters are without Vince being there. So Big E is number one. When he comes back, hopefully soon. But he already had the strap, so you're going to have to do some repair work there. Finn, but he's doing the stupid Judgment Day stuff. After that, I really don't know. There are people on the roster that haven't gotten nearly enough love. It just feels like sort of like they're doing things, not doing things in a way that feels free. But like the vibe of SmackDown I heard was totally different. So it wasn't that the things that happened weren't different, but the way that the energy felt that night felt different. I'm going to watch it later on today. I think I haven't had a chance. And after that, if it like female talent, I don't know. I truly don't. I guess if I'm going to throw anybody out there, it's got to be Shayna. Let Shayna be effing Shayna.
I had that name ready for you.
That has to be the one. Shayna Baszler is criminally underrated. She has been so poorly utilized in the last year. She needs to be a champion. She needs to be a champion now.
Her NXT run, like it's not as if they don't have the blueprint
yes,
for how to use Shayna Baszler. It was arguably either her or Asuka, arguably the most dominant NXT Women's Champion ever. Just an absolute monster heel.
Yeah.
You have the formula. Do it.
I thought they were going to. I thought they were pulling the trigger on it a while ago. But then she teamed up with Nia, and that was stupid. And then Nia got released.
I wonder if we could go back in time to the WrestleMania that was at the Performance Center, very beginning of the pandemic, April 2020, and if Shayna beats Becky for that Raw Women's title. We love Becky here, but I wonder if we could go back and change that outcome if Shayna wins and is established right there. If we didn't get any Vampire Shayna. Do you remember we had Vampire Shayna for a short period, and then it just went away. Yeah. And then Shayna's fighting Lily and Alexa Bliss, and it's just been a lot of smoke and mirrors that, like you said, were not needed. She's an absolute ass kicker, a shoot ass kicker.
It's too much. And again, there's nothing wrong with the philosophy. It's Vince McMahon's baby, but Vince over the last decade and a half or so went back to what he was doing before the Attitude Era, where it's just like, I'm going to give you sort of career-based gimmicks, or if not that, just maximum cartoon character, and not let you just be what you are. And if you are who you are and it's really good, we're just never going to put a title on you. Not the main titles. Like, how has Shinsuke not won the main titles yet? Shinsuke's incredible in the ring. Sami Zayn is incredible. He's one that I can see. Sami Zayn and KO being free. Look out. Like, look out. There are a ton of people on there that if they're not confined to the box that WWE puts their stars in, if they can open that box a little bit up, my God. I mean, look what happened with Triple H's career when he finally had some freedom to go like, this is what I want to do. And then he became the Game. And then it took off from there. Because before his gimmick was pretty stupid before DX. And he knows that he was miserable. And then it blew up. Why? Freedom. So if you can allow some of your characters and your performers more freedom, a la Max Dupree, then like let that dude be LA Knight again and see what happens. Like, it's going to be good. Instead of going like, well, we don't know what to do with you because we don't know what to do with you. So Apollo, you can go back to doing whatever. And that bums me out because he's incredible too. So I don't know, man. There's a lot of people on the list.
Yeah. I'll take Big E, Finn, and Shayna all day. I'm really thinking about very, very quickly, because I know I went over on my Bachelorette thoughts. I'm really hopeful that the NXT call-ups, whenever that first class from NXT 2.0 gets moved to Mondays and or Fridays, I'm hoping that we'll see, like, I think of someone as someone like Carmelo Hayes, for example.
Yeah.
I don't think, pun intended, that they can miss with him. At least I hope not. Maybe the dude
as is.
right. Maybe
that's the problem. Is like
and
the change on the way up.
Yes, and maybe the dude is traditionally undersized, if you will, even though he's an absolute Adonis. He just seems like a total slam dunk to me in terms of a superstar. We know Braun Breaker, I think, is going to be taken care of. But also, we saw what happened with Karrion Kross. I think if you were to build a wrestler in a laboratory to satisfy Vince McMahon's needs and desires, it would be Kross. But then
100%.
He's in his dominatrix.
Let's get rid of Scarlett and come on out dressed like Great Value Gladiator.
And then less than a year later, he's released. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go, Finn, Shayna, Big E, maybe talent we've already seen, but I'm hopeful that the NXT call-ups, whenever we get that first class, and I don't know who the women are going to be yet, because I know Mandy's been the face. I don't know that any women are going to be imminently called up there.
The only one there that I want to see called up is asking to leave, or she wants to leave, and that's Io. I've wanted to see Io on the main roster forever because she's a freaking Joshi goddess, but
top 10 in the world.
What the only moment that I can recall that like sticks out in my head is top rope trash can off the cage.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I don't know if you retweeted that or.
It wasn't the trash can one. It was the other one where she jumps off the top of the cage into Bianca and Rhea when they were all still there. Amazing. But they don't have anybody like that right now that sort of transcends everything. Yeah. They have really good talent, but they don't have any like, whoa. Cora might be able to get there at some point if they drop the skateboard gimmick because she can't ride it. So
yeah, she turned heel on Roxanne Perez, and they'll have a rivalry for a while, I would presume. But I don't think we're gonna see. We haven't said these names in a while. I don't think we're gonna see the Nikita Lyons or
God, I hope not.
Maybe even Tiffany Strattons of the world quite yet.
No, because they still haven't even figured out what to do with Shotzi, and she's already up there. Yeah. And Alexa freaking Bliss just won the 24/7 championship and lost it. What are we doing, man? So I'm really hopeful that Alexa can have a comeback. The goddess needs to return. There's so many things that they could do better. And I'm really, really hopeful for what that brings. Because the WWE right now is in a great place. The state of the company is great, but let's check in on the state of 19 Media Group.
And now it's time for the state of the biz.
Tyler, I have no idea who's starting, so I'm just going to start. What a summer of hoops buzz it's already been. Check out the latest episode of the Baseline NBA podcast to hear co-hosts Warren Shaw and Kali discuss the latest rumors surrounding the future of Utah Jazz star Donovan Mitchell.
Speaking of 19 co-founder Warren Shaw, you should do yourself a favor and tap into his latest episode of Dope Interviews. He chopped it up with Tatiana Holyfield, VP at SiriusXM Pandora. You won't regret tuning in.
Incredible work name, right? Tatiana Holyfield.
Yeah. Yes. That's a great, and the first name, by the way, this was totally my error, Brad. I typed Kali.
Yeah, I was like Kali. I thought it was Cal. I was like, did I miss this?
The great embrace the mess. This is absolutely on me, Cal. The great.
Is that a Ron Burgundy moment?
The great Kali. No, this is
fuck
Kali
you, San Diego.
And Warren Shaw. So, needless to say, Warren and Cal, whether they're working together individually, are putting out great content. And yes, my friend, Tatiana Holyfield is a top-tier work name. I agree.
I caught some of that interview, and you can tell how much I listen to the NBA Baseline podcast. I for all you hoops heads out there, we have a little something for everybody. Check it out. I have nothing to add. Speaking of 19 co-founders, speaking of Mo, he released a new episode of Hidden Gems Golf. Tap in and hear his thoughts on golf's latest event, the 3M Open from in Blaine, Minnesota.
Amazing.
Been there.
Have you really?
Yes.
Whoa. Let's go.
And left.
Speaking of Mo, though, Brad, we have some great people on the squad. Hip Hop Hidden Gems, his other creation, blessed all of our ears with their latest episode. You can check it out to hear him and Willie Freeman break down an iconic verse from the 1994 hit Time's Up by OC.
I have no idea how I screwed this up. Embrace the mess. I skipped it in the order. I got lost looking at Call Lee.
It goes back to me. It goes back to me.
Whatever, man. People are gonna call it. We got snotty dripping around here too. So I don't know. Okay, listen, man. 19 co-founders, awesome, dope interviews with Warren Shaw. It's come back. Actress Hannah Hall of Showtime series The Shy. Correct, Tyler? Joined Warren on the latest episode to discuss her career and experience working on the show. Check it out. You won't regret it.
Yeah. It's also a big summer, remains a big summer for the Orlando Magic and its fan base. On the latest episode of Close Up Magic, superfans Steven and Malik interviewed professional player development specialist. What a title. Henry Wu. They discussed his path to coaching, what an off-season plan looks like, his experience working with Mo Bamba. That's pretty sweet. And much, much more.
This is such a mess. I don't know if we should embrace it or just redo it. Travel back to 1996 with Desmond Powell in the new episode of Hip to the Games. In it, he takes a deep dive through De La Soul's infamous song "Stakes is High." You know, there aren't many creators more thorough than Dez. What are you waiting for? Check it out now. Actually, what you're waiting for is the end of this show.
And then finally, you knew this was coming. Shout out to Mike Steff, former GI guest and fellow podcaster. You can check out his show, The Salty Thoughts of Donnie Yu, for detailed, passionate commentary on the latest news in sports, professional wrestling, and New York politics.
Tyler, I'm afraid we're going to be heading back to our buck and a half format here. This might be a long one.
It was inevitable. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, we're going to keep it under an hour, and we're just 55 in. Here comes question 2. Okay, Vince retired. Max Dupree happened. I don't want to do maximum male models. It's being written out. You love this gimmick, right?
I did.
Yes.
I did, and I do love maximum male models. Yes.
I thought he in particular made it work.
Yes, agreed.
But I mean, if he's hard to work with and it sucks, then I mean, what are you going to do? I have no idea if he's hard to work with, quote, hard to work with because he hates what he's doing. And if that's the case, get him something else to do or get rid of him. Intrigue, though, right now for the entire WWE product is probably at a 15-year high. I can't imagine a time since Attitude ended that people have been like, holy cow, what's going on now? Vince left, dude. What do you expect to see tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw? The first Vinceless Raw. And they have time to plan it.
Mm-hmm. Is it bad if I say much of the same that we saw before?
No.
I think that's where I'm at. On one hand, I am optimistic, but I don't think I'm quite... Like, I can see how this can become so much better, but I really think I'll believe it when I see it with my own 2 eyes. I want to be as hopeful as you, but currently, not just in the interest of time, but currently, I just don't expect major changes at the moment. I think this is going to be something that maybe we'll reflect on. I mean, damn, like at the end of the calendar year, and we'll see something tangible, but immediately as soon as Monday, I hope that it's something better and it's something different because we know they're capable. We know their show, their stories can be so good when they want it to be. But I got to be honest with you, man. I just don't have a lot of hope going into this one. I think it's going to be more of the same. We'll probably get Austin Theory pop up. We'll get matches we've seen dozens of times repeated. I just feel so removed from being invested in the weekly product, especially a product sans Cody. But there's Bianca Belair, there's Becky Lynch. I don't know why they're running that feud back, but we have talented people everywhere. So I think more of the same, but perhaps you can convince me that I should be tuning in tomorrow.
The TV14 announcement came a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. I can't remember exactly when, but it seems to coincide with the same time that Vince was going to retire. Vince stepping away at the same time it transitions into TV14 feels very much intentional. Let's change the product. Vince is leaving. Let's twist it. What worked? Attitude Era worked. Let's be more edgy. We don't have to go full blood. We can just go a little bit edgier and maybe have a little bit more adult themes because we're losing some of that fan base to AEW, and this will contribute to that fan base coming back a little bit more. I'm excited to see what happens. I don't know if I'm going to actually watch it. I kind of want to wait and see what it's like, but I'm at a point too where I'm like, I don't really want to miss it either. So I don't like watching things after they're over, because then I already know they happened and what happened. And it's like,
Sure.
I'm not going to be as invested in a match or a story or a surprise if I see it happen somewhere else. So, yeah, I guess I want to see if it looks any different, feels any different. I don't think we're going to see that for a while, but we got a major pay-per-view coming up here. And I kind of want to see the build for it heading into it while it's different. It's the first SummerSlam ever without Vince. Ever.
It's a big deal. It's inarguably the second biggest pay-per-view of the year. I think Royal Rumble is probably number one on a lot of our enjoyment lists, but magnitude wise, SummerSlam historically has been only behind WrestleMania. And Brad, like you uttering that statement aloud is pretty, I don't want to say chill inducing, because I don't feel chills quite yet, but it's a reason to be hopeful for next Saturday. You and I are going to watch regardless. We're going to put out our preview episode of SummerSlam here pretty soon in the next few days. But like you said, this is the first one without Vince, which I think is reason to be excited.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing though. Vince is also responsible for really good SummerSlams and really good WrestleManias. That
You're not wrong.
He's kind of a pay-per-view wizard. He doesn't miss a lot. He misses in moments sometimes, but man, when he hits them, he hits them. And when he misses, he misses. Like we got Cody's debut and Stone Cold versus KO and all these great moments. Night one,
Bianca versus Becky. Match of the weekend, in my opinion.
Bianca versus Becky wasn't a moment; it was the match, right?
Sure.
Like so a little bit different, but we had all of that great stuff in night one, absolutely incredible. But then we also had Bianca versus Becky, 26 seconds. So there's a lot of there's a lot of things there where it's like I don't really know. I don't know how to feel. It's the weekly product that has suffered, not necessarily the pay-per-view product, or excuse me, the premium live event bullshit product. That stuff hasn't suffered. We know that Hunter is a creative genius as well. At least he knows what works for a sports entertainment / professional wrestling show. He gave us some of the greatest events in professional wrestling history, arguably, and they were all in NXT in the black and gold. He knows how to make nostalgia work because he was part of it. Like that takeover, the pop from my house, seeing Sean and Hunter around the computer doing the keyboard thing, like the 90s takeover, amazing. Yeah. So I'm just hopeful that they can maybe coax some creativity out of the other staff members that are involved in creative and involved in production to just have it feel a little bit different, freshen it up a little bit. So I don't know. I'm tuning in probably tomorrow night to see what happens. We'll see how tomorrow goes because I have to go to work.
Oh yeah, we will get there. I have a question for you about that a little bit later in GI on this 2 hour
in the 3 hour
in the third hour
hour block of GI,
the eighth seg. Yes, absolutely. Brad, I think correct me if I'm wrong here. It is time for the moment that I've been most looking forward to. We'll probably see some promos tomorrow on Raw. I'm going to let you do the dirty work of actually watching, and then you can fill me in and let me know if it's worth checking out. But in the meantime, the promo that I've been waiting for is the latest edition of Brad's promo of the week.
And now, the promo of the week.
Tyler, it has been a really long time since I've done one of these. I can't even remember the last time I did it. Maybe the second episode of GI. Like I really can't remember the last time I did a promo. Probably another one after that, but it's been months, 6 months at least. I've had this one written down for a couple of months, and I've been wanting to get to it. And today, I sent you a picture of a thing I cut out with using the scroll saw, and in it, you can see I had to look up the name of these things. My Under Armour boots. They are the Under Armour Micro G Valsets work boots. They're the tactical boots.
Yeah, Moxley.
But yes, absolutely. I got them. They're the same ones. He wears those. I saw those. He wore them maybe a week ago. I saw him kick up, and I was like, "Holy shit, those are my boots!" Because the tread looked familiar.
Yeah. That's you.
Yeah, absolutely. They're light as hell. They're comfortable. Super great pair of shoes, and I'm so pissed that I had to buy them. Listen, man, you buy a pair of shoes called Indestructible shoes. They better live up to the fucking name. These shoes started coming apart within days of me owning them. The top fabric layer gone. The sides split. Absolute trash with soles. I could have made them out of plastic bottles, strapped them some bitches to my feet with tape, and they would have been more effective. I watched these like non-grip, they're non-slip surface. They're running on like glass with water pouring on it. They're like, yeah, look, they don't slip. I almost died slipping in these things. Tyler, why are my shoes in the trash? Why did they fall apart? I had to tie them and then lace part of the lace through a hole just to get them to stay on my feet. They weigh 900 pounds. And although the upper is comfortable, they stretch so much when you're walking because steel toe, that's the point, is heavy. So you flop around in these things. I don't even know how to describe the movement. It's like some kind of duck. It's terrible. They were garbage. The interior were uncomfortable. The whole outside fell apart. The steel toe still intact. It's steel. But the non-slip grip, get the fuck out of here with that. Lies, bullshit, false advertising. Yeet them into the ocean. Actually, throw them into the sun. Take care of the ocean. I'm out on Indestructible shoes. If you call yourselves Indestructible, live up to the goddamn name or get out of the business.
Well said. And the website is it's indestructibleshoes.com. Like, this is their marketing tool.
Yes.
It's not in the fine print. It is the print. Okay.
Right. I'm telling you, I took them out of the box, put them on, and then stitching came out.
Well,
immediately. It took 3 months.
Yeah, that's
3 months to get to my goddamn house. 3 months.
That's inexplicable. Although we have lost another potential sponsor,
I
think it was well worth it because you're absolutely on the right side here.
Yeah, I don't want them as a sponsor anyway. You know what? Indestructible shoes, reach out to us if you ever need a sponsor. Okay? That's the way this works. And I'll give you something. $1. That was me flipping them off if you didn't see it.
YouTube.com, 19 Media Group.
Yeah.
Brad, I have no I have no transition out of that. I think it's time for our final questions for each other. And these, I believe both of these are going to be non-wrestling focused to close the show. So my first one, though, starts with wrestling. It was very recently, I have the tweet up here somewhere, that AEW wrestler AQA, absolute master of the what's her move, Brad? Oh my gosh, I'm already
Shooting Star, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The Shooting Star Press, absolute one of the best, if not the best in the business at it. She tweeted on July 18th. It was a screenshot. The tweet itself was "With love, thank you," and then a heart. And the screenshot, seemingly from her notes app, read in part, "I want to take this time to say thank you to anyone who has ever cheered for me, supported me, bought merch, had me on your podcast, or wrote an article about me. Those who sent loving messages, made fan art, gave me a hug during a meet and greet or a high five on my way to and from the ring. Promoters who booked me, so on and so forth." And here's the important part of her message. She says, "At this time, I've decided to step away from professional wrestling for the immediate future. For the past few years, both mentally and physically, I have not been in a great place with wrestling. And silly me, I kept pushing through because I didn't want to be seen as weak. But it only sucked the fun out of every opportunity I had. I hope during this time I'll be able to reflect deeply and see what path is best for me. Thank you, AEW, for granting me this time. Until I see you all again, much love." So, Brad, yeah, really powerful words. And again, a reminder that the people we watch on TV, like us, are also human and are going through their own journeys and at times struggles. So, my question for you, Brad, you are starting school very soon. I believe you are going to the shoot job to Marana High School tomorrow,
Yes,
not
sir.
for the first day of class, but for
No.
the official let's get into fall semester mode. So, of course, I am incredibly proud of you and excited to hear all of the stories and joy that I know will accompany this year. My question for you, though, is related to a class that you teach that I know you are incredibly passionate about. You teach a social and mental health class. I know it's one of your babies. Freya's your baby forever, but I know this is one of your other babies at the moment.
Adopted, yes, like me.
And and considering that you are starting school here in the next week to 2 weeks, and thinking about AQA's tweet from last weekend or week, I should say, what do you think, or what do you hope is the one takeaway that students who take your social and emotional health class
Man,
consider or learn about mental health?
at 3:04 p.m. today, Kylie Ray tweeted out this: "Your mental health is important. Protect it." It's exactly what I want my students to come away with. So when we're doing AP psychology, part of it is AP psych and then mental and social health. Got to do it in that order in our program. And AP Psych is absolutely overkill. It's absurd what they ask the kids to know. They'll never need all of it, and it's way too much in a year, especially without any background. Ironically, it can take a toll on their mental health because it is a strain. But I always try to stress, like, your ability to do well on a test doesn't mean anything. It's not important. Who cares? Like, you got college credit? Awesome. You didn't? Awesome. Doesn't matter. You still walk away knowing more. And if you walk away knowing more about you and what to look for, and just simply acknowledging your own mental health struggles or the struggle in others, that's all that matters. AQA stepping away because she felt the mental strain is more important than her going out to wrestle. We reacted this way very poorly because AQA got a ton of support. Simone Biles didn't when she walked away from the Olympics because she couldn't get over a mental hurdle. People called her weak, called her anti-American, called her this, called her that. And I'm like, would you do that if she looked like Carrie Strug? So there's all these things that pop up in my head with this stuff, but mental health is just so important. It's more important than really anything. There's like old chicken soup for the soul books that I know I read one. I bought one on purpose. At the time, people thought I was like, I got made fun of so much. The whole point of me buying it was because I was a mess and I didn't know what to do and I was embarrassed to say anything. And it was like basically said you can't love anybody until you learn to love yourself. You can't take care of other people if you can't take care of yourself. And I think if your mental health is getting in the way of you being happy and productive, then nothing else matters. You got to take care of you. You got to take care of your mentals and your chickens, in the words of a wise philosopher. Shout out to Beast Mode. So if my kids can walk away knowing that their mental health is incredibly important and that they need to protect it at all costs, then I don't care if they learn anything else.
Wow, I have nothing to add. That was beautiful. Thank you. I've been excited all day to ask you that question, and to no one's surprise, you delivered with a very, very thoughtful, heartfelt answer. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And I believe I shoehorned 3 pop culture references into it. Question 3 here, Tyler. I looked at it quarter 3 because we've been doing this for 10 years. Jordan Peele released his newest film to a $44 million domestic box office opening. That's what I said. We're gonna wait till later to talk about this. Hell of a success. I have no idea what the budget for this movie was, but I imagine they're making their money back on it. While I don't anticipate him doing more big budget box office adventure type movies, although he was influenced heavily by Kubrick, and Kubrick wrote the script for AI, but never got to actually create it because it wasn't technologically ready for him to do it. Spielberg did it for him, which is why it's like kind of a mess of Spielberg and Kubrick. And Peele, creator and writer for and host, as it were, for the new Twilight Zone. what do you want to see next from Jordan Peele? What type of movie do you want to see next from Jordan Peele? And I just want to chime in here with mine.
Please.
I don't know what it is, but I want to see him work with A24. If you can get in with A24 and do a film to shut everything down, it's going to be the best thing anybody's ever seen.
Wow. I agree with you. I'm very tempted to just say I agree and then go into our closing.
But I want you to give me like what focus storyline or whatever.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I haven't thought about this. Well, I never expected him to do a Western. So I'm trying to think of immediately.
Or an alien movie, to be honest.
I was going to say, what are some genres that are well known, but that maybe I don't foresee Jordan Peele immediately doing? I definitely don't need I don't think I need a sequel to, I definitely don't need one to Get Out.
Right.
And I don't think I need one to Us, even though I would argue Us is the most sequel worthy of his 3 major films. I don't know that we need one for Us. So we got a Western. What if, Brad, when you say AI, what if we got one that's set in the future?
Yeah, 100%.
Can we have a horror movie without it being a dystopian story in the future? I wonder if there's something to be played with there. As long as we get Daniel Kaluuya and we had Kiki Palmer, we had Lupita Nyong'o, like whoever that next actress is going to be. And then the supporting cast as well, as we spoke about on our Nope review, just absolutely stellar. So I'm going to go AI inspired by you. And I think he could really play around with that genre. Will Smith gave us iRobot about a solid 2 decades ago. I think I saw that in the theater with my mom, actually.
Wow.
So I think if Will Smith can do it, Jordan Peele can absolutely put this on the big screen, and all of us would flock to see it. Do you have any ideas in mind, though? I want to think of a potential plot in the next 5 minutes that we can send to Monkey Paw Productions.
No, the AI idea is interesting because he's obviously had commentary about our need for spectacle, especially in this last one.
Yes.
Everything needs to be thing and everything needs to be broadcast and advertised. Maybe something where it has to be something in the future where it's like you are part of VR, or something to that effect. I don't know, because he always he does this thing with the practical. We have the UFOs, right? Like, so that's the thing we know, but his focus is never on the practical. It's always on the psychological. So it's more, I have to think really hard about this more than I have to just watch things blow up and get sucked in and all that stuff.
Michael Bay City, right?
Oh God. Something blows up and hits the camera. Michael Bay. It's basically it. Oh, a shot of a miner bending over a truck. Michael Bay. Like every single time. It's just gross. Can't stand Michael Bay. Bad Boys aside, and maybe The Rock. The Rock is great. Not the actor, not DJ.
Not Dwayne.
No, but the movie The Rock.
Great pop culture reference, by the way. You're 4 for 4 in the last 10 minutes. Way to just hit an absolute grand slam to end the show.
I'm just
well done by you.
Rat-a-tat-tatting out a bunch of bullshit. I'm trying to think of like anything that could be
we gotta
like
maybe
imagine Jordan doing something like the Minority Report movie.
Yes.
Where it wasn't really dystopian. It's like pretty grounded.
Shout out to 2002. I had that game on the GameCube actually as well.
I didn't even know it was a game.
It was a video game. It wasn't just a movie. Yes.
Wow.
But a Jordan Peele-esque version of Minority Report. Brilliant.
Something along that line, because oh my gosh, that policing in the future, like what we're doing with social media and stuff like that, could lead to something really interesting. I don't know what the concept is yet, but man, that could be really good. Could be really good.
Yeah, please sign me up for that. We're gonna be. I think this guy is just going to be in the zeitgeist. This guy and his work are going to be in the zeitgeist for, hopefully, knock on wood, just the next several decades. Brad, I love when we get artists, so directors, singers, etc., who, when they release a project, it's not just you consume it and then you're done. There's just it's appointment viewing, and there's a larger societal discourse.
Yeah,
about like there are college classes specifically about Peele's work, most notably Get Out. Like that, I just love that we live in a time, as as doom and gloom as the year 2022 has felt at times, I think you and I are definitely big believers in art being that escape to, like
100%.
you said, protect our mental health, to find community amongst each other, to dream, to imagine. I know this isn't a gratitude segment, but I feel very grateful that we're chopping it up about this and that Jordan Peele is creating art.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm with you, man. As a dust storm warning kicks up on my watch, I've been getting thunderstorm warnings and dust storm and flood warnings just constantly here. Just constantly, dude. And
no
we're in a
Wi-Fi
vortex.
issues though.
I'm not on Wi-Fi.
Okay, I was gonna say we've been
haven't been though, so it doesn't mean anything.
Sans State of 19 Media, which was totally my bad. This has been one of the smoother.
Shout out to Call.
Shout out to Call. That's gonna live in the infamy of GI now. Yeah. It's actually not a bad thing. This has been one of the smoother episodes of GI tech wise. This has been
great. Yeah. You froze up at least 4 times early on.
You're kidding?
No, I'm not. Your video.
What?
So it's
I'm plugged in.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I take back
your audio. Perfect though.
Okay.
You never cut out audio wise.
But the money maker has been
yeah
bringing the chin stroke back from last episode. Brad, this was great, man. This was an absolute marathon. I love how much we touched on. We know part of our marketing is that Gimmick Infringement is more than just professional wrestling chatter. Yeah. So, man, I just appreciate you. I appreciate our listeners and viewers, any and everyone that's tuned in. Again, we're really proud of what we're building on the website. We have a plethora of articles up. Can't say enough great things about Brad's latest piece, focused on the similarities of Vince McMahon and George Lucas and their career trajectories. Brad mentioned that I have a new Bachelorette article up.
Yes. So for people that haven't checked it out, I wanted to say this earlier. Every time I read what you put out there about it, it feels very almost like Matthew Berry breakdown of fantasy sports, where it very much feels like a broken down sports article, like where you're like, here are the takeaways and here are the things that happened and here's my thoughts on them. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like reading a post game column. So if you're hesitant in checking it out, please check it out. It's awesome. It's like I enjoy that as much as I enjoy a rose from Tyler. I'm trying to get the 2 separate entities.
They are 2 entities. They are 2 separate entities.
But a rose report is absolutely worth your time. It's not a long read. It's not going to eat up your day or anything, but it's so much fun. Please check those out. Totally worth it. And then share the hell out of them when you see them.
Well said, man. We'll go ahead and end on that note. Please be sure also to follow the great people at 19 Media Group at 19M Group on Twitter, 19mediagroup.com. They show us love. They support us. And we hope that you will do the same for all of them. That includes Cal Lee,
still laughing.
Warren Shaw. I know I feel so bad.
Absolutely.
Cal Lee, Warren Shaw, the Mojo King. I mean, such a great roster, right? We mentioned Desmond Powell. I know we're forgetting names, so we ask for your forgiveness, but really great group of people, artistic, creative individuals, and we think you would love their work. So you support us and also consider supporting our teammates over at 19. Brad, those are all of my words. You got anything else to close us out here?
Just like last episode. Nope.
Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Good Pods, our premier partners, and Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.